Are you all hip to the beer Kong? Do you know about the beer Kong?
No.
Beer Kong? No,
Nick,
I
do you
guess
have
not.
one? There's one
Yeah,
right
you
there.
This is handy right
yeah.
here.
I
So
got
it's
my
like a
husband
beer
one of these a
koozie.
couple
You
years
put
ago. Yeah.
your beer inside here, but then on top of that, you can
Snap it in and
put it
you
in there, pour your beer, and then
Blub, 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 blub. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I need a better example.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
need to understand how the liquid comes out of the tube, please, and then what happens when it falls out of the tube.
You got to show the whole physics of it, man. The fluid
Yeah.
dynamics.
This
Otherwise,
show is
no one's
about
gonna get it.
I
science.
don't have a suitable beer in that fridge right now.
The
The only
have
things that I have are 9% or higher.
well, this actually right here. I'm Brewing. So if you can see that, that's actually a cooperative brewery that Nick and I are part owners of.
Oh, cool.
So it's California's first and only cooperatively owned brewery. So yeah, and I
Congrats.
was on the board years ago, and then just actually recently got appointed as the president of it. And it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, I don't have time for this, but I will 100% do it because I love it. And I love being involved in the brewery.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I didn't know that was a thing happening.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
California's first and only. That's what I heard.
Yep,
Oh my gosh, I
California's
feel
first
like
and only.
That's
I
how
feel
they
like that
sold
kind
me.
of yeah. I feel like that kind of skips ahead, but whatever. So with the co-op, you're sharing space, tools,
So
facility.
it's cooperatively owned. So there are currently somewhere between 650 and 700 member owners. And everybody, you pay $150 for your lifetime membership. And that gives you one vote on anything that is all membership. You can join any subcommittee you want to, run for the board, participate as much or as little as you want. And then when we do profit distributions, they're distributed equally, but also based on your contribution to the brewery. So if you were out doing a bunch of sales or deliveries or marketing or whatever, that contributes to your percentage of the distribution. Or if you went out and drank a bunch of our beers, that also contributes. And so you get some of that revenue back.
Nice. Okay. That's super cool.
So currently we do contract brewing. We were doing with a brewery called Freewheel. We've done Dust Bowl, Hermitage. I'm sorry, not Dust Bowl, Devil's Canyon,
Devil's Canyon,
Hermitage,
yeah.
handful of others. And currently we're brewing with Strike, which is a great brewery out of San Jose. And so they brewed our pale ale recently. We're about to brew a Hefeweizen, and I think we're going to do a Belgian Golden Strong probably coming up here very quick. We have a solid recipe.
Yeah.
We were going to do that with a Belgian double and a Belgian triple. Those were going to be kind of specialty runs. Then the pandemic hit and everything kind of got bad. So lucky for us, we don't have any employees or anything like that. So we were just like, okay, let's just stop brewing for a little while. And now we're ramping back up. So yeah, and Strike, they seem really interested. So we'll do that Belgian Golden Strong.
I don't love this concept. Like, can we steal that and like put the first and only one in Colorado?
Do you want to set it up?
It was really cool when I first joined. It was still in the kind of building critical mass stage. So it was, this is what we want to do. And you'd go to a beer festival and there'd be a booth and they're like, this is what we're doing. We have this many members. We're trying to get up to this point and then we'll start brewing. And so I joined because I thought it's brilliant. And after a while, I was like, we really need to brew a beer. And so I ran for the board and I was like, hey, I'm going to find us a contract. We're like, we got to do this stuff. And so I was there and we brewed our first beer and kind of developed, I think, the first 3 recipes. And so kind of got it rolling. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I love that.
So do you have a background in brewing or just a lover and...
We're both just lovers.
Yeah, we just love it.
Lovers of beer.
Travis has definitely done significantly more home brewing than I have.
Okay.
But not on a scale that you would go,
Yeah.
man, this guy's about to go pro. Like that, not anywhere near there. So I definitely relied on some of the expertise of some of the other folks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A lot of experimenting.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
right. I love that.
Taste
made a lot of
testing.
weird stuff that wasn't good, and made some stuff that was pretty good.
Yes.
So
I can.
yeah,
I can. Yeah.
Can attest to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna get into a little bit more about you, so we won't like blabber on too much ahead of time. But like, could you share the story behind how you guys started Hoppy Trails Podcast and what inspired you guys both to dive into this world of beer podcasting? It's a goofy one, but we're all in it together.
Really, we were just looking at the field as a whole, and we thought the one thing that's really missing from podcasting is just two cishet white guys talking about beer. And we thought, we could be those. We could be those two cishet white guys talking about beer. And here we are. And really, it's it fits. We fill a niche that was it was missing in the community.
It was-
Whether it
Best
was needed
answer
or not,
ever.
that's
Yeah. No, it's well, Nick, I mean, really, Nick and I are best friends. So we've been best friends since freshman year of high school when we first met.
Yeah.
Cool.
like
And
96, 97.
yeah, 96,
way
97.
back.
So moved I moved up to Chico and then down to San Diego. And we were apart for a little bit and then came back, and we were both back in San Jose, and we spent a lot of time together, and we're good to be around each other again. And then I moved to Salinas, and Nick moved to Oregon. And we
Yeah.
thought, we've got to make sure that we stay in contact all the time
Cool.
and keep connected. And we thought, let's just start a podcast. That way we know we're going to talk at least once every 2 weeks, if not more. And we do, and we see each other all the time. We just took a trip out to South Carolina together for the show. So it's, it
Got to
started off
meet
just
we have a Patreon and got to meet one of our first patrons.
yes, we did.
That's
Yay.
awesome.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. In fact, I
That's
think
awesome.
that trip was primarily driven to go meet him, and it just coincidentally happened that there was also a beer festival going on. So
Just-
Yeah.
I'm sure no planning at all that happened to be like, well, we're free this weekend.
Yeah, we
Right?
literally was just doing a search of South Carolina Beer Festival, and I'm like, hey, here's one that's near Billy, so let's make it a show trip. But
That's awesome.
so
Aw,
so
what
it's
a good
been
story.
it's just been a way for us to stay in contact with each other, and it's something we both love and are passionate about. So it's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun for us. Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I feel like
Love
there's
that.
not a whole lot of people that like way trump Liz and mine's friendship, but you guys have like a decade on us, so
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
a lot on
We
that
didn't
one.
meet till 08.
Yeah, it was a 7, the very tail
Yeah.
end. But yeah, we've been good friends since then. So that's super cool.
Very similar.
Great story. I know you guys kick off your episodes with talking about what you're drinking. So let's twist that in there. You guys had a way better story about what you're drinking than I have. So I'm gonna let you start it so I can end on a dull note.
I'm almost done with it now, but I'm
Yeah.
drinking a Treehouse out in Massachusetts, a juice project from them. They're well known for their hazies. Definitely played well into that haziness. Super juicy. Like I always with their beers, I always feel like I'm drinking like just a punch in the face orange juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
It's great. Feels healthy. You know what I mean?
it does, right? Like, yeah, I'm drinking orange juice. Super healthy.
That's right.
That's it. Like,
Yeah.
but no, this is a great beer, and enjoying in a glass that a friend of mine in Ohio sent me from Ohio Pint Day last September. So it's got
Very
this beautiful dragon artwork on it, and I was
That is
looking into
cool.
it. Apparently, they don't make many of these glasses. They're apparently sold at multiple breweries that are participating in it, and they sell out within like the first couple hours. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I have 2 of them magically. So
That's awesome. We do a pint day here as well, but it's very different type
Oh.
of design.
okay.
It's
Nice.
very Colorado. Like, you know how
We
like
need to go to all
the
the paint
national
days.
park
Mhm.
signs, like that
Exactly.
graphical
Oh,
design. That's like
yes.
all of ours is very like
That's
"Ooh,
awesome.
The mountains. You know, there's no
I like it.
Excellent.
I like it. I see. This is another thing that we need to do if we're going to be professional. Nick, did you see that? Liz took some notes, which she'll probably refer back to
Time
later.
out. What are these notes?
Yeah, what are these? How is this happening here?
I never took any of those in school.
No,
I don't even have a pen within reach, so this
I'm
is
telling
Liz's
you.
cup of tea, not mine.
we go back and I start editing, and I'm like, oh yeah, we talked about that. That was really interesting. I remember that. You know.
Why does this seem so new to me?
Yeah, a couple of beers through the episode, especially if they're the heavy ones, a 9.6.
It's just a stick figure with beer.
And it's me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Good job.
amazing. That's really good. It's really good. You captured his eyes perfectly.
You need
We're
to
gonna put
draw
that on a shirt.
scribbles
We can
under
all
the
sell it.
blockhead.
I like beer.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I
Really
like
captured
beer.
the essence. Yeah.
Needs a little beard. Okay.
Travis, what are you drinking down there?
Well,
I say
I'm
down there
actually-
because you're in the lower screen. I don't know if you're in the
Yeah, what am I
lower screen
drinking
for
down here in the
everybody.
lower left quadrant? Yeah, it's this is a collaboration by one of my favorite breweries, Alvarado Street, and another local brewery called Other Brother. Other Brother hasn't been around as long as Alvarado, but they're turning out some good stuff. And this is a Other Brother and Alvarado Tropic Desert. So it's kettle sour with prickly pear, mango, and lime. And
Ooh.
it's nice. I actually got into kettle sours because of Alvarado Street and one that they had at the time. And I think, Nick, you turned me on to it. You're like, you got to try this. So I checked it out and I was like, oh my God.
I think it was because I told you, hey, I need you to go get some of these from Alvarado.
That's what happened.
'Cause you
Yeah.
lived
Nick was
nearby.
like, go to this place. There's a guy there who will sell you these beers. And, you know how they do. They're like, hey, the first one's for free, but then once you're hooked, you gotta buy them. So
You send him one of those notorious 3-packs.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
shit, they only sold 3 in a pack. Sorry.
I
That
I
makes
got-
so much sense now.
I got hooked on them for a while. I think the first 4 I was supposed to send Nick, I drank them all, and I got into a big
You
kettle
sent him a
sour
no
keg.
pack.
Yeah, that's right.
Just the snap.
The 4-pack snap ring, it's like, there you go, man, a little souvenir. They were delicious.
Would have been so funny to me, like in a box that looked like the beer.
Full-size box, ice packs and everything.
Must have been the mailman. He must.
That's
have
right.
taken it. What a jerk!
We both got robbed. I don't know what happened. Yeah. But no, this is excellent. It's not too tart. It's in that like lower end because with kettle sours, right? They call it a kettle sour because they do the souring in the kettle and then they can stop it by doing the boil whenever they get as sour as they want. So this is on the earlier end, I would say. Not super acidic, but definitely there. And I love prickly pear. If you're in the Salinas area, prickly pears are very common. A lot of our biggest farms here also grow them down in Arizona, so they come back here. But prickly pear margaritas are real big here. Anyway, I'm going kind of down. This is a good beer, and you should drink it.
End of the day.
Here's how it looks. There's the color there.
That's
right?
beautiful color.
Ooh,
Isn't that
pretty.
nice?
That's very
Yeah.
nice. All right, Liz, you want to jump in? What are you drinking?
Sure. Because I'm in the state of South Dakota, I picked up some South Dakota beers from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Where I'm at on the eastern side of the state, it's mostly just, dive bars and casinos.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like legit casinos. I'm talking like
What about the
video
cornfields?
lottery casinos. What's that?
Yeah.
So what about the corn and wheat fields? You can't leave
Well,
those
yeah,
out.
it's blizzarding right now.
That's fair.
But I've got an amber ale from Remedy Brewing Co. out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's a red ale, amber, crisp, malty, delicious, perfect for this cold day
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the wind is beating my face. It's a solid 5.3%.
Yeah.
I'm on number 2 because
On the path
I
to
was really
toastiness.
cold. And yeah,
That's right.
you can see it in my cheeks. It hits just right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I-
red.
and it's also
you're
the name
speaking
of my
Nick's
dog.
language.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red
Oh,
and
I love a
ambers.
good red. They did
Yeah.
a good job. It actually has a really nice finish to it. A little bit bitter. I like that. I like a
Yeah.
little bit of.
A little bit of. I went a very different style, also in the midst of a decent amount of snow, but I went with the old Outlaw from Tivoli. Their
Nice.
new I grabbed it for 2 reasons. One, I recently, and I feel like I should have done this forever ago. I didn't realize how old Tivoli Brewing is. Like, it's not only
Yeah.
the oldest brewing in Colorado, it's like the 3rd and the oldest in the country or something crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
hella old.
Wow.
Maybe 5th. It's in the
Crazy.
top 5. Like,
Incredibly
it's
old.
really, really old. So I was like, all right, cool. And the other reason I grabbed it is this is their like fight against the the big mainstream lager breweries. They're like, we're gonna start competing against like the Coors and Bud Lights with this beer. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, let's give it a shot. It's I put it in my thrift store Pilsner glass
Very
with
nice.
no
Very
design.
nice. That is a good score.
That's
Wow.
right.
This is a good one though.
That's a great
Look how tall
glass.
that sucker is.
Another great one. Is that also a thrift store glass?
Is it the same glass? It is good. It's I don't know. It's not quite sweeter, but it's like I feel like the best way, like it's kind of hay-y. Like it's like really grainy. It's
Yeah.
good, but like it's because of like the finish on it, it's not gonna like I'm thirsty after it. And when I think of like the kind of
sure.
crappy lagers, I'm like, I want to slam that whole thing in 2 minutes so it doesn't even remotely warm up. And I am like, I'm just not as thirsty after. Then I go in and get into something better where I'm still kind of thirsty from it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about their battle odds right now. Like I appreciate someone's going up against the beer people, but it doesn't hit the same. At least for like why I drink those beers.
Yeah.
There's also usually drinking games.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Those are for drinking games. You like them because they're cheap. You like them because they go down real easy.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, the amount of rice and white sugar that they use with the big 3, that's what usually will cause me a problem the next day. If I've been drinking those, which is a rare occasion these days, the next day I'm just like, I just don't feel right, which is different than the don't feel right after like a long night of IPAs. You know what I mean? Like that's a little different.
Yeah.
But with those big 3, you're just like, I don't know, my brain's just not functioning as well as it should be right now. And it's a lot of times that fermented white sugar is just not for me. I don't like anything about it. So
That's a good way
that's
to
why I
put
stay
that.
away from those. Yeah.
That's a good way to put that.
Yeah.
It's rare, but every now and then either we get a wild hair up our ass and pretend like we're all in college and play drinking games,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's just like I am so thirsty and I just want to slam something as quick as I can. And like Coors Light just does the trick for that. You know, on a hot day and you just want to slam a beer.
Are you all hip to the beer Kong? Do you know about the beer Kong?
No.
Beer Kong. No,
Nick,
I
do you
guess
have
not.
one? there's one right there.
This is handy
Oh,
right
yeah.
here. So
got
it's
my
like a
husband
beer
one of these a
koozie.
couple
You
years
put
ago. Yeah.
your beer inside here, but then on top of that, you can
Snap it in and
put it
you
in there, pour your beer, and then
Blub, 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 blub. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I need a better example.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
need to understand how the liquid comes out of the tube, please, and then what happens when it falls out of the tube.
You got to show the whole physics of it, man. The fluid
Yeah.
dynamics.
Physics.
This
Otherwise,
show is
no one's
about
gonna get it.
science.
I don't have a suitable beer in that fridge right now.
The
The only
have.
things that I have are 9% or higher, and I'm not.
I
You'll
know.
be
I'm just like, what do I have?
Sounds like you're
I've
going to
got
get really funny by the end of this episode. So I
got
say
a
you go for it.
delirium tremens. I think I've got a Pliny in the fridge right now. Like all things that'll cut this interview real short.
Delirium, so
But-
good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fun. There we go. And I have my backup beer because I'm already like nearly through it because
I know. I'm like, I may have to step away for just a second.
Backup
coconut
beer right
porter,
here.
4
Stained.
noses, very coconutty,
Ooh,
not
Ooh,
too
nice.
heavy on the
Backup beer?
boozy, a little bit sweet.
Nice.
Of course, we got a backup beer.
Well,
But it's
hold
a
on.
coconut. I love a coconut beer, and this is
I
it's
got
got a lot of
this,
coconut forward. So
Nice.
Big
I'm into it.
I
Shanty
like coconut.
Imperial Stout that's coming up here
Ooh.
from I'm assuming Where the
Everyone's
hell is this
backup beer, a
place?
dark beer. Did we all go the
I
same
was
route?
actually gonna
I-
grab a darkie.
I
Yeah.
started dark. Well,
Ah, see, you did it
ish.
wrong, Liz. Well, I guess it was.
It is 10 degrees outside. Maybe.
Yeah. No, you start with a Russian Imperial Stout and you go bigger from there. Okay.
Yeah.
I wish.
we
I called it
won't
a
talk about the
shot of
half
bourbon.
bottle of wine with the lasagna. It's
That's right. That's right. Nice bottle of Chianti. That'll warm you up.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was delicious. Uh,
I'm gonna run to the fridge real
I went
quick.
to
I'll
the
be
head.
right
Right.
back.
yeah.
I'm actually not a big hazy fan, unless they are as you described them, Nick. It's like getting a shot of orange juice. I freaking
Yeah.
love that so much. This one's pretty good. This is out of Sioux Falls as well, Fernson
Ooh.
Brewing. Although I hate
Nice.
their labeling, they all just say IPA, and if you don't read, they're hazy.
Side. Could be a West Coast or a hazy.
Well, I wanted
or...
a West Coast. I love hoppy. Hoppy, the bitter. I love it. Like, so I'm kind of like often on the fence with hazies and juices, but this is pretty juicy. It's actually decent.
There you go.
Well, I won't spoil it. Like I've had one. Not today.
Not today.
Really, it's for the viewers out there. If for someone who's never listened to your podcast before or heard of it before, like how do you sum it up? The Hoppy Trails podcast, the essence, if you will. It's too bad.
Man, that's a tough one. I know, right? I was gonna say
it's two cishet white guys talking about beer.
Okay, moving on.
No.
Moving on.
If you love beer, you love dad jokes.
Yeah.
And
There
you
you go.
want to, discover, new small breweries or food places to check out. We're the guys to listen to.
Yeah.
If you don't like any of that, probably not going to be your cup of tea, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
We mug of beer, whichever.
We love to cook. We love to eat. We love to go to breweries. We love it all. So it's just, we'll talk about stuff we're cooking or an experiment we did or a food that went terribly wrong. And then we'll talk about, breweries we went to, beers we drank. And it's just, it's just a fun time hanging out. Yeah.
For sure.
I love that. You're like, I said this already, and I knew as soon as I asked it, I was like, uh-oh.
Well, I hesitated.
I need a little bit more from you. I need a little more.
I almost said like, if you love listening to dad jokes and everything, but I'm not a dad. So Travis is the only dad, but I feel like I more than make up for the dad jokes lacking on his part.
Yeah.
But it's okay. That's what we're here for. We support each other.
100%.
Liz and I had this episode
Good
last season where we did it remotely, and Liz discovered on Google Meet all the different like filters that we could add to each other, and it was like that was our thumbnail, and I was like, if you don't see that and aren't slightly intrigued, you're going to hate everything about us. Like, if this doesn't make you be like, this looks kind of funny, and you're like, this looks stupid, then you're gonna think our whole show is stupid. So just skip past. This is there's no better thumbnail that represented us than us with like, I think I had an octopus on my head, and Liz might have been a pirate or something. Like, it was so stupid, and we're like,
yes.
Now I feel like.
All right,
Your
so community seems to be a big part in what you guys talk about, right? Like. You talk about being in the food trucks, the breweries themselves, the beers, you get into really the whole ecosystem of it all. How do you feel like you guys foster a sense of community among your listeners and broader beer lovers around the world? Like, how do you guys really piece those together? And like, do you feel like you're nailing it? Do you feel like there's times you could do better? Like,
oh, we're nailing it. Are you kidding? That's, man. Like a carpenter is how we're nailing it, right?
Like pin the tail on the donkey.
That's right, man.
Like,
are you kidding? Every single time.
do you ever feel
meanwhile,
weird that
behind the
people say
scenes,
you made
Travis,
a community?
I don't know.
And you're
I
like,
think we need to change it.
Oh man, no, it's if you could see our chats on the Signal, and I'm just like, no, Nick, we can never release this one. It's awful. It's awful. Burn it all down. Nick's like, come on, man, get a grip. No, we actually you know, the funniest thing, one of our earliest episodes, there was somebody who posted on this, you know, subreddit and Reddit, craft beer. Reddit, for any of your listeners who don't know, is a social media platform where a bunch of crazy and awful people get together to yell at each other. Every now and again, you find somebody who's not crazy, and you're like, "Oh my god, thank you." It's like
It's just a bunch of negative stuff, but somehow there's a bunch of upvotes. And
yes,
it's just like, it makes no sense to me. I can't.
yes.
How
I've
much of
tried
their
for
IPO
years
did
to
you guys
follow,
buy?
but just
This is shameless shameless plug to get your IPO.
Yeah.
Goes up.
Yes.
Guys are like,
but we one of our earliest episodes, I saw this person that posted a beer I'd never heard of before, and I'm like, okay. I looked it up. I'm like, well, this person's either traveling in Italy or lives in Italy. I just shot him a message like, hey, what's going on? Like, it's I've never heard of this brewery before. And we started chatting. And it was somebody named Matteo. And we said, let's just get Matteo on the show. And so we did. And we had Matteo as one of our first guests. And he's talking to us about the beer culture in Italy and food and all of this. And it was just like, that was such a cool thing for us, being able to just say, hey, we just found someone and you seem chill. Do you want to come on and talk to people? And we really just met him on the show is when we really got to know him. And it was so awesome. And it just so
Very
natural.
cool.
And we've got a listener in one of our patrons is in New Zealand. And,
he
you
owns
know,
a
like we
homebrew
said,
shop.
he owns a homebrew shop in New Zealand. Billy out in South Carolina. I mean, it's been very cool getting to hear about all these different places. And we'll have our listeners send in trail reports, right? So like if you were out at a brewery or if you ate some good food or something like that, record yourself for 30 to 90 seconds and send it to us and just tell us about this fun night you had out drinking or whatever. And we'll put you on the show. In one of our breaks, we take a break, put in a trail report, and you know, let everybody hear about the places that maybe we can't get to, but where you went. And it's just,
love that.
it's all about,
Yeah.
you know, just showcasing people.
Yeah.
Hear people doing something fun or they have a passion, and let's give you a platform. As small as it may be, here's a platform where we can boost you, you know?
I love that.
I love
Yeah.
that.
See? Freaking nailing it, guys. You're all over that. That was
Like
great.
a
Yeah.
carpenter.
I feel like
I told you,
I had a
man.
tear
Just,
come down from that. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Man.
So going along those lines then, right, you're reaching out to the community, you're giving a community a platform and a place to talk their experiences along with your own in meeting new people. What about products that you've had on the show, or breweries or other podcasts that you promote? Is there any like special standard for that, or is it just like, oh my god, like, let's do this, we could be friends, let's get you out there, or however you want to say it?
I mean, as far as products, Nick, do you have any products on hand that you don't have any meat sticks on you?
There was some I was like, there
I
was
was
some
gonna
jerky.
I was gonna say, I was like, Nick should have like some like beard oil, like stuff. Like, how's he not gotten sponsored for that?
Oh,
We might
shit.
be able to get a shampoo
Every
for
now and
Here,
again.
Lori Chelsea shower. Here's some
Okay.
shampoo.
Bavarian Meats Lil Land Jaeger meat sticks are amazing. And the reason we showcase them all the time is because they are delicious.
Yeah, we've literally, well, Travis, I think, has received like a little sampler pack from them.
Oh, they
And-
sent me some. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
they
was
sent me-
like,
they didn't give
our
me anything.
standard
Because
is
Travis
our
is
standard
like,
is if
here,
you send them
here's
for
like this
free.
few items.
Yeah, totally.
But no, that was ultimately through another influencer, the
Yes.
Intoxicated Traveler, who we had on an episode recently.
Yeah.
And Travis had commented on one of his posts about like
where he was he was shilling
Showing
for these meat
for
sticks.
Bavarian meats.
And I was like, how do we shill for these meat sticks? Let
And
me.
that guy just commented and tagged Bavarian meats in it. And then next
Yeah.
thing you know, they're reaching out to Travis to
They
get his
shilled
address.
for you.
That's right. Yeah, he just
so-
said, yeah, Bavarian meats. How do you send these guys some meat? And I'm like, I like that. That's community right there.
Don't you love when someone
It's
makes it
simple,
super simple that you're like, I guess I could have said that, but it would have felt
Right?
weird, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey, meat
100%.
company, come meet me.
Yeah, that's exactly
I
it.
mean, other than that, we don't really, we're not sponsored or anything. The places that we talk about, we don't have any, criteria or anything. We don't have any standards that they need to meet. Like if we each go to a brewery,
We have
enjoy
no
ourselves.
standards. Yeah.
I mean, like we have the one standard that Travis and I hold ourselves to is that we'll never talk ill of
Yeah,
That's
someone.
what I was gonna. That was gonna be one of my questions. Was like, what
Yeah.
happens like
Yeah.
if you don't like a beer
I mean,
or a
if
brewery?
if I
What do
went
you do
somewhere and I
about
had
that?
such a poor time, I'm just not even going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. We're not here
it's
to tear
unanimous.
anybody down or be negative.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the stuff we enjoy. Now, from time to time, and I don't know what your rules on profanity are on this show,
Let
but
it rip.
from time to time, some asshole will write an article that will be
The
such
internet.
bullshit that I have to break them down and call them out on the show.
So
Okay.
Travis, we kind of got a
Yeah.
Travis segment for, kind of the what grinds Travis's gears.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what grinds
what grinds
my
Travis's malts?
barley? Yeah, what grinds my malts? Yeah, and those are really the only times. And even then, it's a lot of it is for like comedic effect, right? Like I don't really care. The first one we did, this person like they had no background in beer and they were young and it's probably one of their first articles and they're writing about a thing.
Frontal lobe wasn't fully developed yet.
Not fully developed. They don't have all the wrinkles in there yet. It's okay. It's just science. But so and I will get very upset and angry about it for comedic effect. I think all of our listeners know I don't actually care. And even still at the end, we'll talk about like, okay, this person is an asshole who's completely wrong, but also, whatever, they're probably very pleasant and whatever other thing they do besides writing, they're probably good at. So we'll still be a little bit nice, but just, if you don't want that, just don't write an asinine article. It's very
What
simple.
if you met him and they were just as big of an asshole? And you're like,
Oh.
shit, this article is just your personality.
You're a son of a
That's-
very nice lady.
That's right. That's it. It's like someone in your life is probably really pleasant and wishes you were too. So,
Yeah.
and again, we don't do it often, but we've done it a few times, and just not really as a teardown of the person, but as a clarification of, hey, I think they have this wrong, or this is maybe misleading or incomplete, and that's really what we do. And again, when we do it, like the one that we did, I can't remember the fiction writer. My understanding is a very good and popular fiction writer, and his books are very popular. And I think for maybe publicity or whatever, wrote this article about beer. He doesn't have a beer background. And a big part of what we were doing is going and looking at these beers that he spoke so poorly about, and not only saying, hey, you're wrong about that, but also digging into these beers he talked about and say, no, actually, these are amazing beers. And here's the actual full story and history of this beer, like with Wincoop and their
Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout.
Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout.
Yeah.
And he, did this like Rocky Mountain Oyster, like kind of thing. And it's like, okay. And then I actually dug into it and I'm like, well, you saw their April Fool's joke YouTube video, which if you believed that, you're an asshat. But then they like went and turned around and said, well, how can we actually do this, but make a good beer? And so we spent a lot of time talking about that. And again, used it to kind of lift them up instead of tear this other person down.
Have you had it?
No, they said they were going to send us some, and then I don't know what happened.
Well, we'll try our best. Maybe we can send
It's
you
okay.
some.
We'll just have to make a trip out there. and
We'll
drink
make a
it in
trip.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
For the
Get some
record,
salty
Rocky Mountain
stout
oysters are
together.
delicious.
Oh
That's
yeah,
not
if you
what I
don't like
said.
Rocky Mountain oysters, that's a problem with your personality.
They're
Yeah.
delicious.
You're
They
a
need a little
human
mustard.
being.
You ladies might be familiar with it, the Buckhorn Exchange in Denver.
Oh
That
yeah.
is not
Love,
where I thought you
love
were
that
going
place.
based on our
Oh
conversation.
Love
my
that
God.
place.
Yes, let's go. Let's
What is
go.
it?
There's
They
horns everywhere.
they hold the first liquor license in the state of
Yep.
Colorado.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
You've been there.
I've been there.
real
Doesn't mean I
history
knew
there.
that part.
They existed long originally for all the railroad workers.
Cheers, by the way.
Would cash their checks at the end of the week
know.
there, and then they had a bar so that all the
Cheers.
railroad drinkers would spend their
Cheers.
checks there. Cheers.
That's a
Chin
great.
chin.
Thank you for. I've been thinking of a way to tie those guys in.
There you go.
I can't wait to go back to Buckhorn
Ooh,
Exchange. That
Did
place,
you hear
was a
that?
nice snap.
That was a nice snap. That's really nice.
Bow, bow,
I like that.
boom, 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 boom.
You're gonna
My
foam up.
ears perked
That's a bad
up. I was
pour.
like, ooh,
That's a bad
That
pour.
is-
You know better than that. It's actually turned out
wow.
better than I thought it was gonna. Shame on
Wow.
me. Sorry.
That
I
took
know
some
that
nice.
actually that turned around. I didn't think it was
Mhm.
going to go that way. That turned around. All right.
It's that
Nice
South
job.
Dakota low elevation.
Turn around.
Wow.
The blizzard with the high barometric pressure,
Yeah.
keeping all the carbonation intact. And
I
don't
thought
know,
Santa
dude.
was coming around for round 2 this year. It was blowing so hard.
Womp.
Yeah.
Womp.
See that snow, just hang the stockings. You're like, just in case. You don't know. You don't know.
He brought Easter eggs, and I was like, all right, whatever.
I don't want that.
Santa's drunk again.
Don't want to know where those eggs came from.
Well, they're reindeer eggs, Nick. That's
Yeah, that's where reindeer come from.
Obviously.
Just as
Everybody
bad.
knows that.
yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, funny. So if you guys are you went out, you traveled for a festival.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
guys looking to expand into other events? Are you looking to like host at events? Where do you guys think you can like grow outside of being in your own rooms and like expand out into the world, or do you even want to?
Yes.
Well, Nick, you want to talk about lefties?
So yeah, well, I mean, this wasn't our first foray out into the world and recording an episode. Back in September, we
What he's saying is we've left our houses before, and that's
That's
rude of you.
accurate
To be
as
like,
well.
do you ever
We're
want to
not-
leave your
we're not
room,
complete
nerd? Like, yeah,
introverts.
I leave my room sometimes. God.
Only when I
don't
have
make me
to.
leave my room. But back in September, we actually did our first live recording
Yeah.
where we went to Lefty's Tap Room in Sacramento, California. And that's owned by
Right.
Julio Pike.
Julio Pike, yes. And he was a longtime employee of Anchor Steam Brewing.
One of the
in San
top
Francisco.
Oh, cool.
salesmen.
Shit.
Yeah.
And so he was going throughout the country selling Anchor Brewing's beer.
Yeah.
He was actually at the kind of closing party that they did where they were like, I just invited all the old employees. He had some great pictures from there, but yeah, great stories about Fritz Maytag and everything. That man, he has a lot of stories and
seen it.
insight.
Yeah.
But
Seen it all.
yeah,
But
but then-
no,
What
so
did you
we-
think? Did you like was it fun? Was it not worth the headache? I mean, we've done live before, and
It
it's kind of
was-
a pain in the ass to like
it was a I
undo
mean,
all
like,
of the chords that are finagled around this place.
so
but
one, I mean, like
was
I
cool.
was coming down from Oregon to California. And so we had to plan a trip where, my wife and I, we drove down, we were there for about like 2 weeks or so. And then the first weekend, we went out to the Sacramento area and met up with Travis and his wife and little one. And we kind of made a whole weekend of it. But that Saturday we went to the tap room. We set up. Thankfully, the weather was still nice.
Yeah.
And I have a 4-channel podcast mixer that can record everything all onto a memory card in it. And so that was the first time we did that. And we just
Yeah.
recorded in person. We had Julio on it. And
Mhm.
I think we ended up talking to a few other people that were just there.
Yeah, we talked to his I think his head chef, right? We talked to
Yeah.
him, and then we talked to one of their beer tenders who also I think does their social media stuff.
Yeah.
And just had a good time. We had wanted to have that aesthetic of like the background noise, and we're out there and
Yeah.
people enjoying it. And so it was fun. We brought different equipment than we would bring if we do it again, and we've actually gotten newer equipment to make that easier. But I mean, we literally, these MV7s we brought with the big boom stands, and like Nick said, his 4-channel board and
I had like one of those
cords and
Costco black and yellow crates just full of
yeah.
gear.
Oh yeah.
Really?
We were like,
I'm
we're gonna
sorry,
do a
gear
full
or
studio.
beer? Probably both.
Gear.
Well, there were 2 crates.
Unfortunately,
One of
You saw-
each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold.
The
Did you see
beer
my
was in the
camera move?
cooler.
So my camera, did it do? Okay. My camera, there's certain hand signals that I can do to make my camera do stuff. And I always forget because I don't use them. No, stop it. Shoot. It's trying to enter whiteboard mode. Stop you. Okay. So I'll
Can
like
you train
wave,
it on
and then my
one
camera
hand
starts
signal?
following me. It's a whole thing. Okay. Sorry. I like bought this fancy camera because I'm like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna make so much cool content. I don't, and then it just irritates me when it like zooms out or whatever because I waved.
Oh, it's
at it.
waving.
Yeah, it does all the time. Shoot. I'm
No
sorry. We were all like
disassemble.
talking, and I just like pulled the parachute on the race car, like, haha, to bring this to a screeching halt. Sorry, guys. It's,
Oh man.
yeah.
The
But so anyway, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
getting out into the world, we do like to do it. We've done one record where we were out in when we were in Bend. We had our good friend with us. We would
That was
every night
early
we
on
got
too.
back.
That was actually my gentleman's weekend.
Yes, it was
bachelor
before Nick's
weekend.
wedding.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so
you didn't
we
have-
went out to Bend. It
Yeah,
was just the three of us. We stayed in an Airbnb. Just hit a bunch of breweries
yeah.
both days, and then each night we went back to the Airbnb and just recorded. That was actually the first time we started using that 4-channel mixer.
Yes, it
cool.
was.
And
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you go to Bevel by chance in Bend?
We did.
I
That
know
was
the
actually
owner
one
of
of
Bevel.
that's funny actually. So because we originally went to Spider and we're like, what the hell? They're not open yet at 11 a.m.
Yeah, they were like, we don't open till 1
Winners.
o'clock. I'm like,
And
hey,
then
okay.
Bevel
I
was
need to
right
be
down
4
the
deep by
street,
then.
and we
Yeah.
went to Bevel, and they were open, and we went out back and played a little disc golf,
Yes, we did.
and
Good
that
damn.
was good times. And then
Yeah,
we went back to Spider
Bevel's
Brewing.
cool.
Yeah,
Justin, I believe, is one of the owners.
Yeah.
I've worked at them. I don't want to say at a couple different places. One place for sure, I knew him from other places, and when he made the big leap, actually we need to get out to Bend because we also have one of our other friends that recently moved out is like the GM of a 10 Barrel now. So
Yeah.
we need
really.
to like
Wow,
get out
10
and
barrels a
we got to
pretty
get out and see our
pretty
peeps.
big.
Yeah, yeah, listen.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now there's some really like Crux Fermentation Project is another favorite out there.
Crux is amazing.
Crux
Amazing.
is so good. That was the one
Uh,
other brewery we were able to hit up. We went to Bevel and we went to Crux.
And Crux, yeah, Crux is a must. And then I think the other favorite of ours from that weekend was Ale Apothecary.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
they-
say either Monkless or Ale Apothecary, but
Oh
man,
yeah,
Ale
Monkless too,
Apothecary.
but Ale
What a
Apothecary because they
cool
focus
project.
heavily on like the wild ferment stuff. And yeah, it's
Oh,
just amazing beers.
Yeah,
Cool.
really, really good stuff. Cool atmosphere. It's just great people. Everywhere in Bend really was. But yeah, I mean, we do like to do that. Go out, travel, do that. Like we said, it gives us a chance to go travel together and spend more time together with our families, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Nick's wife, Monica, she's, my daughter calls them Uncle Nick and Aunt Monica, like
Yeah.
we're very close with family that way. But yeah, we've talked about doing some fun other things like Nick, a while back we talked about, hey, maybe we get together with a small micro nano brewer and just say, hey, what do you think about we develop a recipe together and we can throw our logo on it as a collaboration or
Yeah.
something. And
Yep.
that's another fun way for us to just say, hey, here's somebody who's out here doing it on this small scale, being passionate, and how can we get involved and give them a big megaphone and
Yeah.
stuff like
I
that.
love that.
As far as would we love to put on a beer festival? Yeah, man. We just need everyone to patreon.com/Hoppy Trails Pod. And if you all
Nice.
sign up and we'll put
We'll
on a
make-
beer festival.
We'll
invite
make it
you all.
happen.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say maybe like our 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
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 There
Yeah.
you go.
Even if we
We've-
don't have the Patreon, we'll just go all out.
Yeah, we'll
Go
just
for
do
it.
it. Why not? Yeah. There'll be like
We-
30 breweries and the 4 of us will be there. They're like, hey, do you guys want us to shut
I'm
down?
I'm in.
No. Look, when we show up at your table, you pour a little 2-ounce pour. We're going to go down the line. This is for us, man.
Dude, it's gonna be Woodstock all over again for me.
As long as it's not
man.
the one where Fred takes over and there's anarchy and there's fire. Of course, it looked kind of fun.
We've talked about
Sounds nuts.
doing like going to festivals and doing a live recording at a festival.
Yeah.
Kind of gathering like people's input. What are their experiences? We're actually going to do Collab Fest this weekend.
Oh,
We
cool.
got a new GoPro
Nice.
and we're gonna record us going through the whole thing and
Yeah.
fast forward
Nice.
it and just kind of have a fun side content of like, what's it like to be at a festival? Like,
Yeah.
what does this even look like? And we've talked about kind of trying to create scavenger hunts, educational material going at festivals. We've also talked about doing
Yes.
collaboration brews with people, trying to get one brewery a month that we do annually, and it's for like pure like donations to some great organization or to a
Yeah.
person that like we think that that'd be a really fun way to not only get content selfishly, but like
Yeah.
for the better good of like, could we basically sponsor? We'll get the ingredients. When we make back at least the cost of the ingredients and you guys make back of whatever like they were able to donate in, then the rest of it all the proceeds go to an organization. We pick an
That'd be cool.
organization
That's a
every
great
month
idea.
and we go do a brew. I thought that'd be really fun and like
Sure.
Yeah.
potentially hit different states. I don't think we have to just keep it in Colorado. I mean, we're pretty spoiled. We have plenty of breweries to pick, but
We're in
Jeff-
Colorado. That's no, I haven't heard that about
Yeah.
Colorado.
Do they have beer
Breweries? No. No.
there? Do they even care about beer?
I think you're thinking of North Dakota is what you
Bringing it back.
the worst Dakota, am I right?
Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. They do have Drecker.
Do they?
They do.
Yeah, Drecker.
They
Yeah.
do.
I
have
might have
Drecker.
more breweries in walking distance than all of the state of North Dakota.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. Yeah.
Maybe biking. I'll give it biking. I don't want to walk that far.
So,
I
That's
actually
still a
I
ways-
got back
that's
from the
still a
Bay
ways
Area
away from
last
you, though.
weekend, so
yeah.
it was lovely. I was down in the Bay Area. I actually had oh no, what was the brewery? It was the best brown I've ever had. It's like one of those beers that for
Wait,
the
where in the
next
Bay Area?
Concord area.
Concord.
Oh,
yeah.
like Walnut Creek area.
Yeah, the
Wait,
brewery
isn't
in
that-
Walnut Creek.
Isn't that
Oh.
near Walnut Creek? No, I was going to say Concord. Isn't that near Holly?
I don't know. I don't know
Epidemic?
any of the area. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
know the
I'm
town we
looking.
get to.
Epidemic is in Concord.
Epidemic isn't where we were. Crap, what was the name of
I
it?
can't think of the other brewery though in
It was
the
best
area.
brown I've ever had. It had a bear. It was
Uh-huh.
a bear logo. And that doesn't matter.
Oh, in California? That's
Yeah,
like
that's like
all of our
that's
breweries.
weird.
Oh, how dare you? Yeah. It had a
Doesn't even
bear
make sense.
and they had some hoppy beers also.
The bear or the beer.
Oh, man.
in this case.
Crap.
I'm looking. I'm
Super
looking.
fair. Thank you. Let's look at it. Anyways, it was one of those beers that like it was St. Patty's Day, and I was like, I gotta get a dark beer. Like it is. I was
Sure.
out there working, getting my sun on, doing some video
Nice.
editing, doing some t-shirt design,
Nice.
and I was like, this is the best brown I think I've ever had in my life.
Oh,
I,
man.
I am a
I
big
just
brown
wanted-
ale
the
guy.
first like 3 days. That's all I could think about. Is I was like, we have to go back and get this beer. And
No,
then
Yeah,
I
no,
got it.
Nick
No,
is
I must know because like maybe
Reds
I've
and
had it,
browns.
maybe I had
That's
it.
Nick. Yeah, reds and browns are Nick all day long. So
And
yeah,
my favorite part is like when you're in. I feel like if you're like enough in the industry, you can have. I'm gonna bunny ears like real conversations with the bartender. Because at
yes,
St. Patty's Day, they had all the St. Patty's Day gimmicks, which is fine.
sure.
I get it. It's the day. Have fun with it. And she's
For sure.
like, that beer specifically came with like green foam on it. And she's like, hey, I don't have the green foam. Do you want to wait for it or do you want to have it without it? And I was like, I don't know what that means. Is it any good? And she's like, I think it's absolutely awful. You're doing way better by not having it. And I was like,
Yeah,
cool. I will
Yeah.
not have it.
you're like no.
I appreciate
Nobody has
your
ever
honesty.
said that to me before, and I don't know if I should be offended. I don't think I want the green foam.
Yeah,
so
she was like, it's terrible. It's too sweet. Most people have one and they're like, can I not have it this next time? And I was like, I
Was it
appreciate
Morgan
that.
Territory Brewing?
There's a
Okay.
lot of more words than this one went.
She
You know,
did.
I will say this. What you just said about like, the kind of the industry and being able to talk to people, that's something that I've absolutely found because, look, craft breweries, you're gonna find people who are ready to talk about beer, no matter who you are. You walk up, you want to start talking, they're gonna talk, they want to share their passion.
Yeah.
But something I've absolutely found is I can because I've had some experience in the industry. I'm no master brewer by any stretch of the imagination, but with I've had my hands in, the contracting and a lot of different aspects. I had to learn a lot about it while we were getting started, right? Because we just jumped in and it's like, okay, well, do you guys want blah, blah? And they'd say these things. I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what that means. So I had to learn a lot about it really fast. And um, what I've found is you start talking to some of the brewers or something like that, and they've got their very friendly, like bantery kind of thing. And once you ask a certain number of kind of like more in-depth questions, you can see in their eyes that it kind of switches to, oh, this person like knows. And then all of a sudden, like their guard is down and they want to talk and they're like, do you want to come into
The
the back? And
floodgates
like
open.
100%. And so
Yeah.
many times we've just been like, oh, just start chit chatting over a couple of beers. And suddenly it's just like, do you guys want to come back for a tour? I'm like, oh, 100%. And
Yeah.
I think something is just like, these are people who actually know what it is we're talking about. This isn't just banter over the bar. This is, yeah, let me really share my passion with you.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I think, led us to some certain interviews and tours and even some kind of specialty tastings where we've gotten to try some stuff that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise,
Yeah.
which I really
For
think
sure.
does make a difference, is because you've shown that I do have this interest in what you do and I want you to share it with me. You know what I mean?
You don't need to like put on your customer service face. Just like give it to me
Yeah.
real. I want
Yes.
I want to actually know what you're talking about. I don't need the fluffed up answer. Just like
And,
let me know.
on top of that, I think there is a percentage of people who will come in with kind of like a, oh, hey, I do this or that, and they're looking for something for free. And
Mhm.
we never are, right? I mean, we get free stuff a lot of the times, but we're never looking for it or expecting it. We go in and we're like, hey, I want to pay you for this beer that you make because you put your life into it. But and so I think there is that element where there's a little standoffishness of, hey, we do a podcast, can we this and that? And they're trying to feel you out for, are these people here to get some free beers or what? And
Yeah.
so, as I said, once they realize like, no, we're really passionate about this and we're just here to share your passion. And then it does let that guard down.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's a great way to put that. It's breaking through that barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely glad you added that in.
Yeah.
Uh,
For sure.
going back, Cali Craft Brewery. Is
I
the
was
brewery.
just about to say
Cali
Cali
Craft.
Oaktown Brown.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yes, yeah, you know it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what is happening? I don't think I've ever fallen in love with like a brown so much.
I
was
didn't.
like, this is the
So
best.
I was not aware that they are located there. They used to be located further south in the Bay Area.
Okay.
So when I looked them up and I saw it, I was like, oh, it's Cali Craft. Because I immediately, as I was scrolling through their list and I saw the bear right on the can, and I was like, oh yeah, Oaktown.
Yeah. It's really interesting you mentioned the silo, and this is something that I used to, one of my standard questions when I would go in to kind of get back, not if we were interviewing, but if I was just going to talk about them on the show, I'd talk about like, all right, what's their capacity and, different things like that. And one of the things that I used to ask that I stopped asking was, what's your main grain that you keep in the silo?
Ooh.
Because there was a
Good question.
time when there were different answers and people were like, oh, in our side, this is our standard base grain and everything. And it started turning out that ever I went to, they're like 2 row, 2 row, 2 row. We got 2 row in the silo. And finally, this one guy, I was talking to him and he's like, well, I mean, it's 2 row, man. Now that they have the modified 2 row, that's the only thing that you need for all. And it's like, oh yeah, with like IPAs being like the main thing and, pales and like that, the modified 2 row as a base grain gave you so much that you needed with the enzymes and what have you, that you didn't really need variation. Sorry about that. And so that was just the answer forever. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to just stop asking that question. But very interesting is we're seeing a shift now. And don't get me wrong, the IPA and the double IPA and the hazy and all that, those are still king, right? They're other varieties are starting to pick up. Go into any place with 20 taps, and the one style of beer that has the most taps is the IPA. It just is. But
I mean, if
because
they
we
want to
are
be busy, it
seeing,
is.
yeah, I mean, absolutely, you sell what the customers want to buy. But what we're seeing is more of these breweries that are saying like, yeah, we have a couple IPAs, but we specialize in this or this, and we're seeing a lot more. So I can finally start asking that question again, and there will be some breweries that, what did we learn from Zach out at where was it, Greenville Bottle Exchange, right?
Yes, in Greenville, South Carolina.
All praise Maris Otter, right?
Yeah.
So it's it's a different game, and some of these are
Yeah.
starting to come back, and
Interesting.
yeah, maybe somebody has something different in the silo these days. So
The malt world is
a
coming
good
back to the
question.
world.
yes, yes, it is. That's
Nice.
right.
Zach was a guy who was like, he's like, forget IPAs.
Yeah,
It's all
fair.
about the Belgians and barley wines
And
and
and your
Yeah.
crispy boys, right? He's like,
And-
you're either gonna
Yeah.
sit
Crispy
down and have
boys.
2 barley
Yeah.
wines, or you're gonna
Nice.
have like a dozen and a half crispy boys, and that's it. So
As it should be.
There's
Yeah.
two kind of people in the world.
that's right.
And crispy boys.
That's right.
We just did an interview with Cohesion Brewing in Denver. It's a Czech style brewery, and
Yeah.
they use Troubadour malts here out of local Colorado, and they
Yeah.
basically kiln it to the degree specific for them.
Yes.
I mean, that's an amazing question. It would have been
yes.
to
Well,
get more in
not
depth
only
with
that, I
them,
think
you
I
know
saw
what I mean?
the clip that you put up on Instagram, and they were saying that not only is it to the degree, but it was timed down to the second.
Yeah,
which is-
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I watch your
Oh,
reels.
thank you.
Thank you.
Such a good
Watch them
interview. Like such
closely.
a fun niche, like little
Yeah.
brewery that is so passion focused, and they're just like,
Yes.
we're only going to do exactly what we care and love about. And man,
Yes.
those are the best.
And
God,
that-
and they're
that
so cool.
passion came
The
through
mountains.
with that. They were
Did
like,
you see the mountains and the
Oh, yeah.
open? Oh my! And it smelled incredible.
yes,
Oh my God!
I
It
would
was
love
so
to go
fruity
there.
and
Cohesion is just west of downtown Denver, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No, east.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
sorry, yeah,
okay.
you're totally east. Yeah,
East.
Okay. I'm thinking of a different place, but
they're really
Nice.
they are newer, but man, it's just
Maybe.
really really cool brewery, just very passion focused. And when we're kind of hitting this time where breweries are a little maxed out in some states, like Colorado, that the kind of mediocre ones just aren't surviving. And it's not even that people don't want beer. What we're seeing is the bigger ones that kind of have all their dials turned, like
Yeah.
they're just scooping up those breweries and they're doing fine. So it's not even that it's a tapped out market of beer. It's just now people have standards.
Well,
Yep.
but there's
It's like
also
dating
Nick.
in your 30s.
What have we? Yes.
it's now coming down to survival of the fittest breweries.
Well, we saw who were we talking to in South Carolina, but also in Bend, I think, and there were a couple of brewers that were talking about like I talk about craft beer in waves, and I think we're coming into fifth wave craft beer, and we don't have time to get into that on this episode here. That's more like a 4-parter if you want to know my wave system. We'll do it another time. But I think we're getting into fifth wave. And one of the things that we've actually heard from a few brewers is about there was a time recently where it was you start brewing, you want to reach a wider audience, you start distributing farther and wider. And so there was a lot of like, who was it? RJ Rocker, right?
Yeah.
They were talking about, they were distributing up in New York and here and there, and they've drawn it way back. And it's a lot more of, we're going to be your neighborhood brewery. And you're going to find us on tap at your favorite restaurants and things like that around our area. But we're here and we're local. And I feel like that's the new wave we're getting into. And so there are the breweries that went and expanded and became huge. And they're the big names, and we know who they are, the big names of craft.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who were trying to get there, and they're either falling off now, or they're starting to contract back. But a lot of the new breweries that are coming out, we're seeing are either starting at the 5 to 7 barrel range, or they're starting off at 1 and 2 barrel. They're just churning and churning and churning and churning so
And
that
there's
they
one
can,
example of that here.
yeah, so they can expand up to the 5 barrel. But that's kind of the 5 to 10 barrels is the sweet spot now. And I feel like that's the wave that we're in, and that's where people are going to be. And it's going to be that, look, I'm not trying to sell across the country. I'm trying to have everyone in my community come here and enjoy this thing that I love. And you're putting more hours in per barrel that you're producing. So you have to love it. It's not I just need to get big enough that I can either sell, or I can sit back and have my employees run it for me.
Be
It's that
invested, yeah.
hands-on passion project, the way that it used to be, and the way I think it should be. Who am I to tell people how to run their business? But as far as
That's
the
the
community
definition of
aspect,
craft.
Exactly. I would
yeah,
say that's
that's
kind of what
the
craft is
craft.
about. Yeah, right. We compare it often to. I feel like we see it more in Europe, where you have the family businesses, the people that are like, yeah, I could go work for someone else, or I could have my own business, and I still have to go to work every single day, and I have to work my ass off, and I'm working longer hours than I probably would be, but like I love what I'm doing, and it's mine, right? Like,
Yep.
Yes.
but it's their own passion, it's their family business. They're not looking to get rich; they're looking to pay their bills.
Yes.
And like that's it's just like anyone else in a job, right? That
Or
most
in some
jobs aren't to
cases,
get rich; it's to
creating a
like pay your
legacy.
bills or to create a legacy. Exactly. Like, and
Yeah.
it's putting a different emphasis on what that's about. And honestly, I think in general, a lot of businesses in America are going more toward that, and it's showing
Yes.
because
100%.
these restaurants that used to be able to hold 80 people are pummeling, where these
Yes.
restaurants now that can hold 15 are packed full every single night with reservations. Like,
Yep.
I just think we're shifting into that, and I think it's fantastic, right? It's getting more people into being able to do their passions, because if you can get the real estate low enough that people can afford to do it, you don't
Yeah.
need to make this insane amount of money. It's enough to pay the bills. It's enough to be doing what you love, and having people that just are passionate. Like, I'm sure you guys have traveled plenty, but it was never the big restaurants you went to that was the best place you went to. It was these tiny little mom and pop shops that you stumbled into, or a local
100%.
recommended, that was just mind-blowing.
I don't. It sounds like you haven't been to a cheesecake factory.
I hate Cheesecake Factory. It's the worst.
You
Yeah,
may
no, hard
just
pass.
not have been to a
Hard
cheesecake
pass.
factory
I
because
went and I was like, how could they serve this much food? It all must be garbage. There's
Yeah.
like 14
yeah.
If I
pages
open
in
up-
that menu.
If opening up your menu feels like opening up a Bible,
yeah,
hard
Yeah.
pass.
yeah, that's pretty rough. No, but I 100% agree. It's not just beer. It's really everything. And we talk all the time about I sound very idealistic sometimes because I say craft beer is going to save the world, but it kind of is. And we talk about a lot of these small towns, and anyone, thankfully, no one that listens to our show is listening to this, because they'd be like, here he goes again with the craft beer saving the small towns. But you have a lot of towns, and I've seen it a lot along the Pacific coast. Nick, you know the towns
Yeah.
I'm talking about. They used to be logging and paper mills, or all of these things. Or where I am, I'm in the Salad Bowl of America here, right in Monterey County. We provide the greens for the country and the world, really. And a lot of these places used to be small farms and logging and paper mills and like that. And over time, they've expanded. And so now in my area, there's a lot of old banks that used to be where all of the farmers brought their money, and the banks were there, and they would loan it out and support the businesses, and it all supported the community. And those farms then became consolidated by people who are out of state. So the money's not here in the banks. The money is leaving the area. So there are resources that are here that are being exploited so that the money can leave. And it kills towns. And if you look at where I was living a short while ago, Salinas, there was a lot of like, man, this used to be a vibrant place. It used to be the heart of everything. The capital was here for a little while, right? Like this was the place.
Yeah.
And then you looked at it, it was like, man, there's a lot of empty buildings. You go up into Oregon, you go up into Washington, there were these towns that were logging, paper mills, lumber, all of this, and those went overseas. And so all of it is, here are resources, and it's being extracted, and it's killing these communities. And what you see is craft beer comes in, right? And it's like, okay, we need to bring in usually some grains, but a lot of times then a local grain operation starts up, and then they're buying local grain. And then suddenly there's a hop yard, and we're producing beer here that we're not only selling to our community, and then that money's staying here, and we're employing people, and we're employing artists for our labels and all of this. But now there has to be a restaurant, some food trucks, and like this. And so there are a lot of needs for local employment, and the money stays there, right? It's not, here's this person out of state taking money out. It's here. We're supporting an economy.
Yeah.
And we see that quite a bit. And I see that now in so many other things. So in Salinas, where I was talking about in Monterey, craft beer comes in, whether it's a tap room and a couple of local breweries and like that. And then we start seeing the food trucks and the local restaurants. And now people that grew up aren't saying, how do I go to college and leave? They're saying, how do I come back home and stay here and start my business?
Yeah.
And the farmers markets are huge. One of the places I talk about, the Bearded Bean, I met him because he Ubered me home from the bar one night. And I was like, hey, man, do you like beer? Because I've got this brewery. Here's a case of beer. And that was a Friday night. And then Saturday, I'm at the farmer's market. And there he is with his coffee shop at the farmer's market, his booth. And he's selling coffee that he roasts and custom and all of this. And I start talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I have a day job, but I want this coffee business. And so I Uber at night to pay for the coffee business while I'm getting it going. And then after a couple of years, I saw him open a shop in downtown. And then he's like, yeah, and now I do coffee and I have 5 taps and I sell the local beers on tap.
Yeah.
And now he's got 2 locations and he's looking to get 3. And it's
Wow.
so craft beer and craft foods and everything like that. Anyway, that's my speech about how I really feel like it's going to save a lot of these small dying areas. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I have a lot of ideas. I'm so glad we're here because my wife is always just like, fucking again? Come on, stop it. I want to watch the show. So thank you for listening.
Beautiful. Thank you. You guys ever watch Orange County, the movie? With the Jack
No.
Black?
Yes.
Oh, you
Jack
It's been a
Black.
long
I
time since
haven't.
I've seen it, but
So Liz and I are stuck on this whenever you're like, I got all these ideas in my head, man. And he goes, yep. So we
Just
both
Jack
that was
just
Black.
went,
Jack Black, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
both- you're like, I have these ideas. And we both were like, rip.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
man.
beautiful. I loved that.
It was.
Man, that's like
and
such a great way. I don't think I could have articulated, I guess, where I hoped that craft beer had the impact. And yeah, I mean, you're right. That is where it is. It brings so much small community and small local craft businesses together. And
Yeah.
I think I just thought about it in a different way, but you are right. Like it really is like a centerfold for bringing all these pieces together. And how do
Yeah.
you ask for anything better than that? It's so cool.
I have family who grew up in some of these areas in a lot of different places. And then when we moved to Salinas, I mean, I saw a lot of it firsthand, and I just started thinking about it from these different levels. And you know, what's really funny? I talked about the banks, like, oh, the local banks, and then they were empty. Some of the banks have breweries and tap
I
rooms.
was like,
there
are they
now.
breweries?
Yeah.
Yes. Alvarado Street's in one of the banks.
Alvarado
Like, there's
Street.
a couple
That's
of
one of their locations now. Alvarado on
in,
Main.
in
Okay.
one
Yeah.
of the old
a
local
bank?
banks, and it's
Yeah.
a beautiful location because these local banks that used to have all the farms,
Very
there was a lot
elaborate.
of money coming through, and so they're
Yeah.
beautiful architecture, and it's
Yeah.
like cool. And now it's a brewery, and I love it. It
Oh my God, I wanna
represents
go
that
there.
wholeness and bringing everything back. I love it.
This town of Salinas that he's talking about, like they've, the Main Street section, which is their downtown, it's like he was saying, just empty buildings for years. And in the last, I would say probably 5 years,
Yeah.
that street has gone through a complete revitalization where, I don't want to say because unlike other cities in the Bay Area that have been gentrified, this is downtown Salinas it's like they fully restored it back to the original downtown Salinas of like the 1950s.
That's
Yes.
Like
cool.
I feel every time I go down there, I'm like, why am I not seeing like a bunch of like cars from the 50s lining the
Yes.
street? Because I literally
Totally.
feel like I've been transported back in time.
Yeah.
They've just
Hoop
kept it
DeVille's
so
and bolo
original looking and
ties.
everything.
Yes.
Well, next
Yes,
time I'm in the area, I will let you know. Not knowing
for
we
sure.
were
Yeah.
at least half of the party, we were so close.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We could have met up.
Very important question. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in. So you can each answer individually. If you could be any beer in the world, what beer would you be and why?
When you say beer, do you mean beer style or
Could be a beer.
specific beer
or.
from a brewery?
Either or. We've had people answer both.
If you will it, dude, it is no dream. Go ahead.
Mm. Oh man. Man, this is a tough question.
So I think I know I'm more so going based off of just how I am as a person. And Travis will probably think like, oh, Nick's going to say a brown ale. Because he loves
No, I know
brown
you
ales.
love a brown ale.
I love brown ales.
Yeah.
But I think another style is more fitting to just me as a person. I'm going to say a stout. Just because I'm a stout individual.
Body by
But
beer,
also
baby.
because, I'm a little sweet, but I'm also very bold.
Yeah.
and robust.
Hey.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Great answer.
Great,
Love
Travis.
that.
Pressure's on.
Travis is like,
Answer better
"Fuck."
than that.
I
Nick's
know.
like, get this out quick. You just want to be
Damn
the
it,
first
mine's not
person
going to be
to
nearly
answer.
as good.
Yeah,
And then
you gotta
Travis
be
is
like,
going
I
to
want
come
to
in
be
with
the
some
first person to
crazy
answer this.
wordsmithing, and then like,
You're like, Bud Light Lime. Yeah,
all right,
because,
and we're out of
because
here.
party. I know Nick just quit the podcast. That's yeah.
Spring break, no parents.
Yeah. I don't know. So is it that I want to be, or that describes me, or what are we?
I mean, I would.
Whatever
you
you
can pick
feel.
whichever you feel, but let's make it easier and say describes you.
Yeah.
We'll narrow your pathways for you.
I'm gonna go kind of general, and everyone's gonna be like, "Well, this is lame. It's really self-serving." I feel like I'm kind of like a wild ferment, just not a specific style, but kind of open and out there, and you don't really know what you're gonna get, right? Like you take it, wild ferment, throw it in a barrel, check it in a couple of years. You poured it into 3 different barrels. They're each unique, and you blend them in like that. And I'm not going to say because I'm this unique flower, you see, I'm this unique snowflake, but just because I feel like,
No, it's just because you're crazy.
yes, Nick, you know me. That's my special guy.
You've always
No,
been a
it's-
wild child. It's words from my mother.
That's true. Yeah. No, and it's because I like to get into so many different things, right? I mean, I have a lot of passions and hobbies and stuff that I enjoy and I'm into. And so I feel like that's kind of like the wild ferment, is like you don't know which way it's going to be. Maybe this time it's like this, maybe this time it's like that. And that's, I don't know, a little bit of how I see myself. I have so many interests, and at any moment I may just get kind of obsessed with this hobby
Spontaneous.
all of a sudden. I'm like, I need to know everything about it, and just dive into it for like a year. And then I'm like, all right, I'm done with that hobby now, and let me see what's next. And so I feel like that's kind of my thing, is I love everything. I want to learn about so many things. I want to be all the different things and experience them. And that's a wild ferment, baby.
In a very natural way.
That's right.
In a
Comes
very
to you.
natural
Love it.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Organic
See, I
from
knew he
the
was going to have a
farm.
better explanation.
Oh, stop
Aw.
it. Stop.
Say more poetic. Not necessarily better, just different.
Yeah. And it, it sounds self-serving. Then it's like, well, what are your faults? Well, I'm too hardworking. I'm just too good of an employee, if you know what I mean.
I feel like in that interview question,
When the
my,
bag of
answer
M&Ms
good.
is out, just leave it. Just
If, like,
leave it be.
I feel like you would know my answer, and I put it really straightforward because otherwise you get fired from it. So I'm like, guys, I'm not on time for shit. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take my time and watch the beautiful elk and then come into work, but I'm
that's
gonna be
right.
like,
That's
this is
right.
something beautiful. I'm gonna appreciate it right now.
Yeah.
And you have the bosses that are like, cool, I get it. And then the bosses are like, fuck you, you're fired. And I'm like, so let's just throw this out right now. You're either gonna fire me in a week and we're
Yeah.
wasting everyone's time, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a great worker, but like I'm gonna come in really happy after I'm 20 minutes late
You're
because
like,
I
look,
watched the beautiful elk.
I'm never here on time, but at the end of the day, will all the work be done? Also, probably not. No, probably not. You know what? I'm just gonna leave. This isn't gonna work out at all. I don't know why I'm here. I
I'm
don't know why I'm
late and I
here.
hate working.
I'll be drunk. It's gonna be a whole mess. HR is gonna be involved. So
There's
That'd
not a
be
brewery.
fun.
No one has HR. It's too small. All right, so I think like maybe Liz basically wrapped up with that one, but I want to get one more little question in before we wrap this up, and it's kind of like a little bit of like a two-parter. Is what are your main goals for this next season, if you want to call it, for Hoppy Trails?
yeah.
Do you have any specific milestones? And then like how do people support you? Like how do people support your cause, what you're going for?
Yeah.
We'll kind of double
All
up on
right.
those, maybe triple. I don't
I
know.
personally,
Answer questions.
I
There
would
you go.
love for us to be able to get out more than we
Okay.
already have and meet more people. Like, like for us, it's all about the community and we want to meet everybody and just hang out and have fun with everybody. We have
Yeah,
one
and I
common
think
goal and go for it, Travis.
yeah, I think this year we want to do more interviews, and as you said, get out and do more kind of on the scene stuff. We've always had a lot of fun with interviews, not only with brewers or people who are running restaurants or whatever, but we even just regular folks like we had Billy on and we just talked to him for an hour, and Matteo, and like, hey, just tell us what's the regular guy think about the beer scene in Italy. And so all of those times that we get to just have people on and talk to them, we love it, and it's so much fun for us. I'd love to see us do more of that. And then like Nick said, just being out and going on these adventures, going to places, because it's real easy for Nick to run around Oregon. There's a lot of breweries there, right? I mean, there's a lot of food and everything in his backyard. Me, a little bit less where I am on the coast, but around me there's a lot of stuff, so it's real easy for us to stay in our bubbles. But getting out and going and seeing, like, what's this other place, what's a state maybe we would have never gone to, and let's just check it out and meet people. So I don't know, I think meeting people
Okay.
and sharing their experiences. Yeah.
And
I
how
love
do
that.
how do
and,
yours? Oh, go ahead.
You can go to hoppytrailspod.com. That'll take you to a page where you can find our Instagram, Spotify, or other podcast platforms, and our YouTube as well, or even our Patreon. But more importantly, just give us a follow on social media.
Sure. Yeah.
That's our biggest thing, is we're just trying to build a following, and ultimately, lead to more listeners so that we can spread the good word of beer.
Yeah. And you know what? Anybody listening, send us a trail report. We'd absolutely
too.
love
Yeah,
those.
the trail
It is our
reports are
favorite.
cool.
Just if you were out at a brewery, you ate some good food, or you just had a fun night out or whatever, 30 to 90 seconds, just record yourself. Doesn't have to be good quality. Email it to us, contact@hoppytrailspod.com. We'll throw it in there. People love hearing it. Everyone always thinks like, oh, I'm not very good at XYZ. Nobody is. It doesn't matter. I mean, Nick and I, we're not very good at this either, right? But people
Yeah,
listen to
nobody
us.
wants
So
to just hear us jabber on all the time,
come on, help us break it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I yeah, that whole concept of people sending in is such a cool concept, and
Yeah.
I love the idea behind it. I think you guys are doing really cool stuff. I don't think it would be
Thank you.
difficult, but at some point we should really try to like sync up in real life, and maybe we can get a festival that we can like both record
Absolutely.
from. I think that'd be
Sure.
really
Yeah.
fun. And maybe we're delusional, but we feel like festivals should want us there. Like I feel like we have a lot to offer to them.
Yeah,
Yes.
You think we're cooler than we are, but like
we can
it's
come prepared too. Both Travis
a lot
and
of
I,
work
we
to do
have
video
the
content.
Rode wireless mic setups.
Yes. The wireless
So
mics.
the
Yeah.
four of
Right up
us
the
could
gear.
walk around just mic'd up, the whole time. That would
Yeah.
be
I love that.
Just want to come to Collab Fest on Saturday?
Yes,
I
Saturday.
wish we could. That sounds like a lot of fun too.
It sounds like a blast. It does.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, really, you guys are a short jump for us. We both have regional airports that are real close,
sure.
easy to get in and out. So we could come see you. It's not a big deal, and we would love to do it. This has been a lot of fun. And
I
it's,
agree.
it's always hard. You jump on, you're like, you don't know what to expect and everything. But this has been really great. You guys have made us feel really welcome. We've had so much fun, and we'd love to do more stuff with you. We really would.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I
Absolutely.
mean, worst case, if we can't find a smaller fest, because we don't have any going on between the 3 states here.
Sure. No.
GABF.
Yes.
We can run around GABF. There's plenty to talk about there,
Yes, we
and
can.
we are definitely
Oh
going to
my
be there
god.
this
Yeah,
year.
that would be.
Think about it.
Oh man.
That's we can put that on the calendar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
We got extra room. We can pull down this brick wall. There's space down in this basement. It's
Yeah.
not just a brick wall for podcasting. There's a whole room and a shitter down here.
Wow. That sounds
A
fancy.
shitter too.
That sounds fancy when you say it like that. That's fancy.